Okay, good morning. In our flower business, we have a lot of people concerned about, what they can do to have sustainable practices in their business. And in our industry, especially flower shops, design studios, wholesale, we generate a lot of green waste, but we also generate a lot of dry waste in the form of cardboard, etc., what have you. And this takes up a lot of space in trash cans, in landfills. And one of the things that you can do, if you get really proactive, is make compost. And this has a lot of benefits. It uses up a lot of material, and it reduces to a very small amount of what we call gold, black gold, compost. And if you don't garden yourself, you can give it to friends who garden the mission. So it's incredible. It's a win, 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 win. All right, so let's take a look. It's really simple. You stick to a few simple principles and you are good to go. Let's look at the ingredients. You need your dry waste. Dry waste, here I have a lot of leaves. I have here, in this little bucket, I have the top of one box cut up into little pieces. It's very important. The smaller you make it, the faster the process goes. I got two, a top and a bottom, all cut up, ready to go. You need your wet waste, your green waste. Again, all cut up, it stems into about 1-inch pieces, 2-inch pieces. You cut it up and you keep a bin for that. And I highly recommend you get one of these items. This is what we call a guillotine. It's good for cutting up stuff quickly, efficiently, and it's great in the flower shop or your studio to cut bunches initially to hydrate. And you will need some bins. I'm going to use a couple of these trash cans. I put drilled holes in them. Probably you can see holes throughout, holes in the bottom, and of course, put holes in the lid. This is to allow air into your bin, because this process does need air as well to work effectively. Also some holes in the bottom, because we will add a little water because you want it to be damp, but you don't want it to be wet. But any extra moisture can exit from the bottom. So we've got our ingredients. Excuse me. What we do is a 3-to-1 ratio. 3 parts dry, 1 part wet. And you do it very simply. I'm going to illustrate this. You would do this in layers. So you get your layer of dry, pretty substantial. Throw in a bit of cardboard. And you can use old cardboard. Maybe you don't have leaves. Leaves is good for anything dry, or dried out curly willow. And for boxes especially, it's a great way to get rid of boxes very quickly. So you can see a level here. Then a layer, 3-to-1, remember, a layer of wet. You see? A layer of dry. And a layer of what I call wet or green. So as you can see, you have your layers in there. Just go layer by layer. You just layer it all up. So I'm going to start real quick. We're going to go and another layer. You keep adding. Now, probably composting is the epitome of diversity, equity, and inclusion, because you want all these different parts, but you want as much diversity as possible. So, I brought it from my house because I do a little composting at home as well. But you can bring in, like say you have a lunchroom, all your vegetables. I got vegetables, tea bags, a lot of tea bags. I drink a lot of tea. You put that all in, lemons, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, bread. Put a little bit of that in on each wet layer. And I find you get a better compost. The more diverse elements you have, it's going to be the better. But it's okay. You go with the cardboard. Layer of cardboard. Remember, the ratio is about 3 to 1. And you keep building up. So, I'm going to finish off filling this barrel, layer it off. That's it. You put the lid on. I recommend putting a lid, especially if you leave it outside because you don't want any possums or animals digging around in there. Put the lid on tightly, and then you let it cook. You just let it sit there for a week. You know, if you have a big enterprise, you need bigger bins. And the bigger you can get it, the more heat you generate and the faster it goes. So it's key. 3 to 1, 3 pot dry, 1 pot green or wet vegetable material. You are going to need some moisture. Don't forget moisture time to time. That also helps accelerate it and keep your particles very small. And after you've made your first batch of compost, when you do the next one, keep some of the compost and throw that in as well, because that helps accelerate the whole process. Okay, so here we are. This has been exactly a week since I put in the compost. So let's take a look. So right off the bat, it's reduced significantly. It's reduced about 30 to 40%. Has already like compacted down and sort of started to compost, as it were. Both cans about the same. So you can leave after a week. Very, very hot inside. I did take the temperature earlier. It's clocking in at around 125 degrees. The ambient temperature here is about 79 degrees. So it really heats up. So the thing now, we're going to fork it over, mix it up. I'm going to use another barrel to put it in. Shouldn't take long. I find it easy to use another barrel, but I think I can get both barrels into one. So you do want to fork it over, because this way you're mixing it up again. It's a further part of the process. If you just leave it as is, let this plane pass. If you just leave it as is, it just takes longer. This way we're speeding up the process. Has a wonderful smell. It's not like rotten flowers, it's wonderful smell of humus. Quite dense. Anyway, there you go. Okay, so I filled that one bin completely with our materials. I'm going to leave it for about a week and then I'll turn it over again. And I will continue that process every week for about 3 to 4 weeks. At which time I will do a reprise video to see what we have. What we will end up with is it'll be about just 20%, maybe 30% of this bin of a very rich compost. It's full of nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus. It will have trace elements. It's a wonderful amendment to any garden, and it really improves the soil. But think about this. Even if you can't use it like that, you will reduce what you would put in your dumpster. Sorry, another plane. You will reduce by about 80% what you put in the dumpster. That is a dramatic reduction of stuff you're throwing away. So if you do it for no other purpose than to reduce what you throw away, that's amazing. And if you are using a commercial dumpster or garbage service, that is actually a lot of savings because you're charged by the linear foot. So really amazing. I hope you've enjoyed this video and found it useful. And I'll be getting back to you in about a month's time. Happy composting from David Dawson in Miami, Florida. Cheerio.